I'm David Southern. I'm mayor of the city of Granbury, and I guess I have a follow-up question, but first I'd like to say we're fully supportive of the application. We're pleased that our economy is going to be affected and that we'll have more power in our country to enable us to get independent of foreign sources of power, the sooner the better. At the same time, I guess a follow-up question was on transportation and the evacuation plan. Although we think that it's probably adequate now, we'd like to see some kind of plan as the population increases for the evacuation system to the infrastructure to be built to accommodate that. When the first units were built, I think Hood County had a population of about 20,000 people. They're now approaching 50,000. They're expected to grow in the next 10 years by more than 100% in population. So we know that we'll need additional infrastructure. The state of Texas and the federal government seem to be getting out of the infrastructure business and transportation. And so I guess my follow-up question is, at what point in those hearings is that an appropriate question to ask about that?
Thank you, Mayor. That's an extremely important question, and Prasanka, I'm going to turn to you now in terms of if there are infrastructure improvements needed or helpful. How does that happen for a local community in terms of new roads or interchanges or a bridge or widening highways? How does that happen? Is that something that is a dialogue between the license applicant and the community, or how does that go?
That is definitely a method from our review and approval standpoint. As I mentioned before, there is a segment in the regulatory requirements of the applicants called evacuation time estimate. That study, that analysis is done by the applicant and submitted to the NRC for review and approval. So that captures the population growth, population projection, and then evacuation requirements, etc. It's a very detailed analysis done by professionals. So that's the mechanism that is used for us to look into those details. Plus, the analysis done by the evacuation time estimate is also looked at by the Federal Emergency Management Agency to ensure that it's appropriately incorporated in the local plans. There is a planning standard that FEMA looks at to ensure that this is consistent and it has been addressed and looked at. So that's the regulatory and guidance provided, a driven mechanism that we have in place. And it takes into account population growth and then the need for evacuation routes, etc.
And although the mechanism may be the dialogue between the communities and the applicant, an assist in that dialogue is that, as I understood what Mike Willingham said, is that there is information developed in our environmental impact statement on infrastructure needs and things like that. Is that correct?
That is correct, and you also mentioned would be a good time to bring that information up if you had some. During the scoping process would be an excellent time to bring that information up, because that's what we're out there towards, to gather that and include that in the